Welcome, seekers of the macabre and aficionados of the arcane. Tonight, we delve into a tale woven with shadows and echoes from the past, a tale that will shake your imagination and make your heart race. An enigmatic mansion awaits us, its walls saturated with the echoes of long-forgotten souls. Dare you follow us into this realm, where the line between the living and the dead is so finely blurred it's almost imperceptible. In the heart of a once bustling town, now forgotten by time and overlooked by the hurried strides of modernity, stood an ancient mansion. Its silhouette, a stark outline against the twilight sky, whispered of an age-old grandeur, now crumbled into eerie desolation. The grand estate, once brimming with life and laughter, had long been abandoned, its stories and secrets enshrouded in a thick veil of neglect and mystery. The apparition stood at the threshold of the room, its form barely more than a wisp of mist, yet its presence was as palpable as the heavy air that hung around Alex. The figure seemed tethered to the spot, its silhouette shimmering with an otherworldly glow, eyes that held centuries of sorrow, longing, and unspoken secrets. Alex, though frozen with a blend of awe and fear, felt an overwhelming sense of empathy towards the spectral entity, as if its emotions were silently communicating with their very soul. Compelled by an inexplicable urge, Alex stepped forward, their hand outstretched, fingers trembling as they neared the ghostly figure. The air around it was cold, a chill that seeped into their bones, yet there was a magnetism that drew them ever closer. The apparition's eyes, deep pools of eternal sadness, locked onto Alex's, and in that gaze, they saw flashes of the mansion's past. Grand balls, opulent gatherings, laughter, and love, all spiraling into darkness, despair, and a tragic end. Alex, a young and intrepid soul, stood at the rusted gates, peering through the tangled overgrowth of wild ivy that clung to the iron bars. The air was thick with a mist that seemed to muffle sound, making the world beyond the gate appear disconnected from reality. Driven by an insatiable curiosity and a heart that thrummed with a mix of excitement and fear, Alex pushed the gate open, its hinges groaning in protest, as if warning against the intrusion. As they stepped onto the once grand estate, the crunch of gravel underfoot broke the silence that hung over the place. The mansion loomed before them, its windows like dark, unblinking eyes, and its grand doorway an open mouth, poised to swallow any who dared to enter. The tales of the mansion's haunted past had always intrigued Alex, tales of ghostly apparitions, mysterious disappearances, and the chilling sounds that permeated the night air, stories that were dismissed by adults as mere folklore, yet whispered among the local children as undeniable truth. With a deep breath, Alex ventured forward, their flashlight cutting a swath through the encroaching darkness. The once opulent interior was now a shadow of its former self, with tattered curtains billowing in the gentle, ominous breeze that somehow penetrated the sealed space. Dust motes danced in the beam of light, and every step echoed in the vast emptiness, as if the very house itself was aware of the intrusion. The exploration began with a cautious trek through the grand foyer, where portraits of the mansion's former inhabitants gazed down with somber, judging eyes. Their expressions, frozen in time, seemed to flicker in the flashlight's beam, as if stirring with disapproval or perhaps a silent plea. The air was heavy with the weight of untold stories, and the musty scent of decay pervaded the atmosphere, a testament to the long years of abandonment. Venturing deeper into the mansion, Alex's steps led them to the grand ballroom, a place where, according to the whispered tales, the boundaries between the past and the present grew perilously thin. The once magnificent chandeliers lay shattered on the floor, their crystals dulled by years of neglect, reflecting the flashlight's beam like lifeless, scattered stars. It was said that on moonlit nights, the phantoms of erstwhile revelers would reenact their ghostly waltzes, their laughter and music echoing through the desolate halls. As the clock within the mansion struck a foreboding hour, a chill settled in the air, and the faint sound of music drifted to Alex's ears. Heart racing, they followed the sound, each step taken with bated breath, as the ethereal melody grew stronger, guiding them to the dilapidated library. Shelves laden with moldy tomes stood as silent guardians, and in the center, a grand piano, its keys worn with age, played on its own, the melody hauntingly beautiful yet achingly sad. The music ceased abruptly as Alex approached, and the sudden silence felt heavy, almost suffocating. It was in this oppressive quietude that Alex felt the undeniable sensation of being watched. Turning slowly, the beam of their flashlight fell upon a figure, a shadowy apparition that flickered in the periphery of vision, ethereal and yet unmistakably there. The vision dissipated as quickly as it had appeared, leaving Alex gasping for air, the weight of the entity's sorrow still pressing heavily on their chest. The ghost, its message delivered, faded into the shadows, leaving a lingering trail of coldness in the air. Alex, now alone but enveloped in the heavy silence of the mansion, felt a deep, unshakable connection to the place and its spectral inhabitants. Driven by a newfound resolve to uncover the mystery, Alex continued their exploration, each room revealing more pieces of the tragic puzzle. The dining hall, with its grand table set as if waiting for guests that would never arrive. The bedrooms, where the air hung thick with the scent of lost time, and personal belongings lay untouched, frozen in the moment of their owner's abrupt departure. As the night deepened, the mansion seemed to awaken, its history pulsating through the walls. Whispers filled the halls, echoes of conversations long past, and footsteps sounded on the floors above, as if the invisible residents were going about their nightly routines, oblivious to the passage of time. Alex followed these phantom sounds, drawn deeper into the heart of the mansion, towards the master suite, where the essence of the house's sorrow seemed to culminate. The door to the suite creaked open at Alex's gentle push, revealing a room shrouded in shadows, moonlight filtering through the broken windows, casting eerie patterns on the floor. The room was heavy with an aura of melancholy, the remnants of its former occupants' lives scattered throughout. A once elegant gown lay draped over a chair, its fabric now moth-eaten and faded, and a portrait on the wall depicted a couple, their smiles bittersweet, eyes reflecting a haunting foresight of their doomed fate. It was here, in this room, that the boundary between the past and present seemed non-existent. The air vibrated with energy, a palpable tension that suggested the climax of the night's supernatural occurrences was imminent. As the clock struck midnight, a soft, sorrowful lament filled the room, a sound both beautiful and heartbreaking. It was the lament of the mansion itself, mourning its lost glory, its lost souls, and its profound loneliness. Alex, standing amidst the remnants of a once vibrant life, felt an overwhelming surge of emotion. The stories of the mansion, its joys and tragedies, were not just tales to be told, but were experiences to be felt, wounds to be healed. It was a moment of profound clarity, a realization that they were not just an observer, but a participant in the mansion's history, perhaps even a catalyst for its salvation. As the final notes of the lament faded, a sense of peace began to descend upon the mansion. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and for the first time in decades, the house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The shadows receded, the whispers quieted, and the sense of being watched by unseen eyes vanished. The mansion, acknowledging Alex's presence and their witness to its pain, appeared to have found some semblance of rest. In the newfound tranquility of the master suite, Alex sensed a transformation within the mansion. It was as though their acknowledgement of the mansion's sorrowful past had initiated a cathartic release for the lingering spirits. The heavy, oppressive air that once permeated the mansion was now lifting, replaced by a lighter, almost serene atmosphere. The moonlight, now clearer and more luminous, bathed the room in a gentle glow, casting a comforting light over the aged artifacts and faded photographs. It illuminated the faces in the portraits, their ethereal eyes now conveying a sense of gratitude and relief, as if Alex's presence had somehow acknowledged their long-standing anguish, allowing them to find peace. Feeling a profound connection to the mansion and its spectral inhabitants, Alex moved through the room with a sense of purpose. They approached the old, dust-covered writing desk by the window, where an ancient journal lay open, its pages yellowed with time. The handwriting within was elegant but wrought with emotion, narrating the final days of the mansion's inhabitants, their hopes, their fears, and their inevitable demise. As Alex leafed through the pages, absorbing the heartfelt words, the whispers of the past grew stronger, more coherent. It was as if the journal served as a conduit, allowing the long-silenced voices of the mansion's residents to be heard once more. Their stories, filled with love, loss, and regret, resonated with Alex, weaving a rich tapestry of the mansion's history. The clock in the hallway chimed, its solemn tolling marking the passage of time. Yet in this moment, time seemed irrelevant. The barriers between eras were blurred, and Alex was immersed in the mansion's timeline, a silent observer to its heyday, its decline, and its haunting. With each page turned, the spectral energy around Alex intensified, culminating in a luminescent display of ethereal light. The spirits of the mansion, once bound to their world of perpetual sorrow, now shimmered with a lightness, their forms becoming more defined, more peaceful. They moved around the room, interacting with the remnants of their past lives, their actions mirroring the memories that Alex had been reading about. The climax of this supernatural encounter was both beautiful and bittersweet. The spirits, acknowledging Alex's role in their release, gathered around, their expressions imbued with gratitude. They were no longer entities of fear or sorrow, but beings of light, ready to move on from the mansion, their earthly attachment finally resolved. As the spirits began to fade, their forms dissolving into the ether, the mansion itself seemed to sigh, its structure settling, as if relieved of a great burden. The once oppressive atmosphere was now filled with a sense of peace, the air clear, the moonlight bright, and the lingering sadness gone, replaced by a tranquil stillness. Alex stood alone in the master suite, the journal still in hand, the silence profound. The experience was surreal, a poignant journey through time, emotion, and the human soul. The mansion, now truly empty, echoed with the remnants of its past, but also with the promise of peace. The dawn began to break, casting the first light of morning into the room, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, the mansion awash in a new day. Alex, deeply moved by the night's events, knew that their time in the mansion was coming to an end. The story they had become a part of was complete, the spirits at rest, and the mansion released from its eternal sorrow. With one last look around the room, Alex stepped out of the mansion, the early morning sun casting long shadows on the ground. The door closed softly behind them, the echo of its thud a definitive end to the night's journey. As they walked away, the mansion stood silent and serene, its windows reflecting the morning light, no longer a place of haunting, but a monument to the power of acknowledgement, healing, and release.